So currently in the game, we have our stun gun and we can use up all of its charge, but then we can't shoot it anymore, and there's no way to recharge it. So what we're going to do in this lesson is we're going to add in a charging station and set up some code that we can use to check to see, are we close enough to the charging station and are we looking at the right part of it in order to recharge. So I'm going to go ahead and import some assets. I'm going to need to open up my models folder, and I want to go ahead and create a new folder in here that's going to be basically our environment models. So create a new folder, call it environment, and open that up. Now let's go ahead and get the model. So I have my stun recharge station.fbx here. That's what we're going to use. And now I need to also get the textures. So I'm going to do a similar thing in here. I'm going to create a new folder for the environment textures. And let's go ahead and grab those as well. So these four here. And then once we get those imported, we're going to set up the material. So let those get imported. Okay, now let's go ahead and set up the material. So go into our materials folder, right click, let's make a new folder for our environment materials, and then I'm going to go ahead and create a new one in here. So a new material. And I call this one the stun recharge mat. And let's go ahead and assign the textures we need for it. Or actually, before we get to that, I might as well do this now actually. Okay, so first one we need is our albedo. This one here, you can see has the albedo, so that's it. Double click on that. We need the metallic now. Let's go grab that. So that is just right here, I believe. Yep, the stun recharge station metallic. And then we need the normal map. Let's grab that. So down here, this is, of course, the normal map. Finish that out. And we need the emission map next, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that. So the emission is right here. Cool, we have our material now. Let's go ahead and put our model into the scene. So drag and drop this in here. And let's go ahead and assign this material to it. So another way I can assign the material other than drag and dropping, here in the mesh renderer, I'm going to open up the materials, and we're going to go ahead, click right here next to our element 0. And I can choose a material here. So there we go. That's the one. Let's take a look at this. Okay, that's looking nice. Next thing I want to do is we're going to add on a box collider. So add component, and we're going to add a box collider. Cool. And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to add on a empty game object childed to this recharge station just by right-clicking on the recharge station over here in the hierarchy. And I'm going to add an empty game empty, and cool, so we have that. I'm going to move it up here because what I want to do is I want to place this sort of just right in front of the screen, because this is what I want the player to look at when they are able to recharge. So what I'm going to do is move this way and a little forward. I'm going to add a box collider onto it, and then I'm going to scale it down a little bit. So here for the X, I think, nope, not that one. I need to change the Y. Yeah, the Y. So make that a little bit more narrow, and then move it maybe a little forward. Now let's go ahead and check out. I'm going to click the top part so we can just see how these colliders are shaping up. So I think, yep, the empty one is just poking out a little bit in front of this. So what I'm going to do now is, since what we're going to use Raycast to check to see if we are looking at the collider right here, at this collider attached to the empty. And so I want to give this a unique tag that's going to say, this is our stun recharge station, therefore now you can start recharging. So I'm going to click on the untagged part here, going to create a new tag, and add a new tag here. And I'm going to set this to be, let's set it stun recharge station. I'm just going to copy that so I get the exact spelling for later. Okay, cool, so we have that now. I'm going to go ahead and select our game object here. We made the box collider on and change the tag to be stun recharge station. There we go, very cool. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up a script. I'm going to open up the, let's see, I'm going to open up the player health and attack script. And now in here, we're going to need to make a new variable. This one's going to basically hold our camera for our character, because this is what we're going to use to check the raycast from. So I'm going to call this, it's going to be public game object first off. I'm going to call it player, I can spell that right, player camera, and just close that out. Let's go down here, we're going to make a new function. It's going to be a void function called check for recharge. And what we're going to do here is we're going to do the same sort of thing we do with a lot of this raycast stuff. We're going to create a new raycast hit variable. We're going to call it hit. And then we're going to do a check to see if to make a raycast and see what it hits, and see if that hit is that empty game object that has that tag on it. So to do this, we just have to say physics dot raycast, and then we're going to use the version of this, which there's 12 versions of it. We're going to use the one where we give an origin point. So we're going to say player camera, which I guess I'll just have to spell it there, dot transform dot position. So that's the origin point, and then the direction we're going to give it is going to be the player camera dot transform dot forward, and then we're going to pass in what we're going to be putting this raycast hit into. So what are we going to store what this returns? So it's going to put it into hit, so we got to say out and hit, and then I'm going to give it a distance to do the raycast. So I want it to do maybe just 3.0 f, so 3 units forward. And then I'll go ahead and close this out here. Then inside of here, we're going to go ahead and check to see if what we passed into hit, if that game object's, so we're going to say hit.collider.tag, if the tag on it is equivalent to our, and I went ahead and copied this, so stun recharge station tag. So if that is if that is equal to the tag of what was hit by the raycast, then what we're going to do in here is we are going to do basically this. We're going to also need to check to see if the player presses a button to see if they want to recharge, because it's not going to be like an automatic thing. We want them to actually have to press a button. So I'm going to say if input dot get key, and I think just the get key is fine, so that'll just be, as long as they're holding in the key, this will be being called. And we're going to then use a key code, so just key code dot, and then you give the key you want. So I'm going to say F, and there we go, capital F, make sure it's capital, and close that out, put new brackets around here, and then in here I'm going to put a comment just saying recharge. We're going to make a function in a bit that's going to actually do the recharging, but recharge stun gun is going to happen here. For now, I'm just going to put a print statement that's going to say, I'm just going to say you are recharging. And there we go. So let's go ahead and save that and call this. So let's go ahead and copy this and paste it up here, right here, paste it in, save it, and then let's go ahead and go back over here, let that compile. Let's fix the errors we have. So it looks like maybe we need another parentheses there, and let's save it again and see, make sure we got all those taken care of. And I think we did, so let's go ahead and test it now and see what happens. Okay, here's our recharge station. And of course, I did not assign the camera, so we need to make sure we assign that as well. Let's go ahead and choose our FPS controller, go down to that function, and the camera is on this object here, the first child of the FPS controller. So now that that's assigned, hopefully we'll get something a little bit better when we try testing this out. So play, and let's go walk over there and test it again. So press F. You are recharging. We see it down here in the print. So I think we are good. And yep, you are recharging. Very good. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson.